So, Jenks, let's start with the Blue Jays. Blue Jays and Tigers swearing off two of the best teams in the American League. Blue Jays' best record in the American League. Tigers not far behind. Detroit favorites at home, though. Minus 135 on the money line. Toronto plus 115. Reese Olson goes for the Tigers. He's 4-3 with a 2.71 ERA. Eric Lauer is having a nice little season. 5-2 with a 2.80 ERA. Total of 8.5 here. When you saw this game, what stood out to you?
Well, initially I wanted to play the Tigers here, but the Tigers are really struggling right now. And I kind of think with the way that the Blue Jays have been playing, that maybe you put a sprinkle. I know it's not a ton of plus money, but it's still now plus 105. It was plus 115 earlier this morning, so we're seeing some money coming on the Blue Jays. I mean, this pitching matchup is pretty tight. Reese Olson has been very good, but also he struggled in his last few outings. Now, the Blue Jays are an under 500 team when playing on the road this year, but also they've been a completely different team as we've seen leading the AL East. I think I would kind of take a shot on Toronto here.
I think you can make a really good case for Toronto, especially with what Eric Lauer's been doing. And like you said, the Tigers just lost to the Pirates. Woof. They only scored 1 run last night. So I think if you look at the total here as well, did you consider an under? Because obviously when you see two starters who have good numbers, the Tigers offense has not been stepping up to the plate lately. What about an under here? 8.5? Did it cross your mind? What about a first 5 under? I feel like it makes me nervous when you see like one side of the coin. Like, I know the Tigers have not been great lately, but they're still one of the best offenses in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Would you consider an under here?
I would. I mean, we always talk about sabotage factors on this show, and the sabotage factor is the Tigers have that talent where at some point they're going to break out of this, right? They're too good not to. But until then, I'm not a big fan of, okay, at some point they're going to break out of this. At some point they're going to break out of this. Okay, but until they do, then follow the trend because they're just not hitting the ball right now. And if they're not hitting the ball and they're facing a good pitcher, maybe this isn't the day to break out of that slump. I mean, they've been struggling against the Pirates, for God's sake, like you were talking about. So I think here, until that happens, then you can't necessarily bank on something that we haven't seen recently. So I think if you're going to bet a total here, especially at 8 and a hook, like that's pretty, maybe you play it up to 9. I'm surprised it's not sitting at 8, but I just play the under here.
Yeah, they've scored 4 runs or fewer in 6 of their last 7 games. Like some of those games, like against the Pirates, they lost 3-0. They lost 8-5. They lost 6-1. How do you get swept by the Pirates? Like, that's embarrassing. The Tigers have lost 9 of their last 10 games. So like you said, the Tigers have been on the struggle bus. As of late, eventually they'll probably get off it, but still, it's not a team that I really want to trust with my hard-earned money. All right, how about this one? I think you were on the Orioles and Guardians game last night, if I'm not mistaken. So they're playing again today. Charlie Morton is the starter, 5-8, 5.58 ERA. Logan Allen goes for the Guardians. And the Guardians are home favorites here. Minus 120 on the money line. Baltimore even money. Total of 9 runs. So did anything stand out to you in this game? Are you going to go with the Guardians here? Are you going to go with a total? What do you make of this game?
Well, first of all, let me say that I don't like the slate at all today.
Yeah.
Which maybe it's not great. It's not great. And also I'm 4-4 this week. So maybe that's a good thing because I've been betting a lot of baseball and I've just been kind of hovering around, waiting to break through. But I am going to bet the Guardians today. This is going to be my one bet, and I'm going to fade Charlie Morton. So you're talking about a guy who, you know, at times he looks like maybe he's going to return to form, but ultimately, if you look at what he's done on the road this season, 2-5, an ERA of, around 6. The last time we saw him, he gave up 7 earned to the Rays in 5 1/3, and we've talked about all season long, the Orioles struggle to hit lefties. Logan Allen is a lefty, and when on the road, the Orioles rank in the bottom 5 of baseball in runs scored. So I'm going to take this price on the Guardians. It was close last night, could be close again. The price tells you that, but I'm going to be on Cleveland.
Yeah, it's wild to me that people are talking about Cleveland as sellers, but it's when you talk about a team as sellers, that's when they like start to heat up because Cleveland has won 8 of their last 10 games, including 4 straight. So I don't know if that changes anything in the calculus of the trade deadline. But still, it's a team that's been pretty playing really good baseball as of late. Then you look at Baltimore, and of course, it's not been a great season. And if you look at their last 8 games, they've lost 7 of their last 8. So it's just not a team that's putting things together, especially when it comes to their offense. So even if Charlie Morton has a decent game, it's not a team overall that I am willing to trust. And they haven't been good on the road. They haven't been good in any way you slice it. But 22-32 on the road away from Baltimore. Meanwhile, at home, Cleveland winning record 25-24. Nothing to write home about, but it's more about the distrust I have in the Orioles as opposed to my full faith in the Guardians. And I will say the Guardians do have a lot of momentum as of now. So there's not many games to choose from. It is a very small slate today.
Yeah.
Were there any of these other games that you considered betting on? Because I'm looking at them, I'm like, I just don't love it. There's only 3 other games that we haven't talked about. Is there one that you like the most out of this 3?
I'm going with the Guardians. That's my favorite bet. So that's going to be my play of the day, and that's the only thing I'm going to bet. I looked elsewhere. Maybe, I don't know how I feel about this. So I was looking at Mariners Rangers or Mariners Angels, I should say. And I wanted to back Yusei Kikuchi because I will say he's been awesome at home this season. 4-1, 1.98 ERA. So he has just been rock solid. But I don't know if I trust him against this Mariners offense. Also, he's sort of struggled a little bit recently compared to what we saw early in the season when he was just almost untouchable. And those Mariners bats can really get going. And then will he get the run support from the Angels offense? Also, when you can get the Mariners at even money, I feel like that maybe just out of principle you take that. I'm talking myself. I was going to go Angels first 5 money line and go with Kikuchi at minus 125, but ultimately I don't think I can pull the trigger.
I think the Angels are a team that's interesting as underdogs, but I'm not so sure if I like them as favorites.
Right.
Because I will say this about the Angels. They've been pretty scrappy this year. I know they won a series against the Yankees. They're a few games under 500. So they're just one of those teams that I'm not sure what to do with them because I don't really want to fade them because they're scrappy. But I don't want to play them as favorites because, they're not overwhelming as favorites. 12-11 as favorites this year. And the Mariners are a team that I generally don't trust either. I feel like every time I bet on them, they turn to mush. So it's not a game that I really want to bet on. Let me ask you this. I know this isn't on our card because they didn't announce a starter until I think this morning. But we've been talking a lot about the Astros. The Astros are a mere minus 130 favorite today against the A's. And you faded Luis Severino before. He's on the hill for the Athletics. Would you play the Astros at minus 130 just based on the team overall?
I think I probably would. I think it's a good price on a team that, as you mentioned, best record in the American League. Although Severino is crazy to me, and it doesn't help that his home park is Sacramento. Like his home road splits are stupid. If you look at him, he gets absolutely just destroyed in Sacktown. But then when he goes on the road, he's a pretty good pitcher, a pretty solid pitcher actually. Yeah. But ultimately, all things being equal here, the A's bats, they miss a lot of pitches. The Astros are playing so well. There's a massive bullpen advantage for the Astros. So if you can fade a team like the A's at this price, I think you got to do it.
I think so as well, especially what we saw last night where the Astros didn't even play, some of their starters. So one would think that Jose Altuve is probably going to be back. I think I need to double check that. But just based on the price, like you're getting one of the teams that has one of the best records in the American League, tied for the best record in the American League at minus 130 against the A's. Like, I think you do it. I think that's going into the price is the fact that Luis Severino has been good on the road. But still, I will take the Astros here as the better overall club. All right, process of elimination, Jenks. We got one game left on the slate. It's the Padres and the Cardinals. I don't think, when I've bet on the Padres, they've let me down. I don't think I've bet on a single Cardinals game this year. I feel like they're one of those teams that in general I don't like fading. Like I feel like they're usually pretty scrappy in the division. They're minus 135 at home. Sonny Gray's been all right. Like he has had really good numbers in past years. He's 9-4 with a 4.04 ERA today. Yu Darvish, same goes. 0-2 this year with a 6.08 ERA, total of 8 runs. I think the trouble with these type of pitchers that are veterans that they have good stuff in them is that you don't know what to expect because like obviously their numbers this year have not been great, but they have good pitches. They have good swing and miss stuff. So there's always that sabotage factor there. So that kind of goes into a total. Don't really love that. Is there anything in this game worth even talking about?
Chelsa, there is not.
And the answer is no.
And the answer is no, a resounding no. I would play the Cardinals here, just because Sonny Gray is a guy. You know how there's just some pitchers who have just done you right over the years. Like whenever you bet on them, they do well. And his ERA is a little inflated because he got just absolutely destroyed against the Diamondbacks last time out. He was on the road, give up 8 earned in 3 1/3 innings, so that was not great. But overall, if you look at how he's pitched this season, he's been very solid for St. Louis, and I'm trying to look at his splits right now because I believe his splits in St. Louis are pretty good. Yeah, they are. 6-1, a 2.84 ERA when pitching at home. So I think I would lay it with St. Louis just because Sonny Gray has been very, very good to me. But again, small card today, not a huge fan of it, so the Guardians are my only real play.